Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, Ankit.
Okay. So we learned all these shapes, right? Now what we are doing today is again the properties. So what I told was there are some kinds of properties like process property, like dynamic process property, like document property, and dynamic document property. Okay. Now process property is something that are the properties of your process, meaning in your process you can have different values set for a process property. It's like a collection of properties that holds different values. Okay. So for example, if I have to create a process property here, all right, I just go in here. In this folder, I have to create this. So I click on this sign, I click on new component. In the type, I have to choose process properties. Then I can give any name. Suppose I give it as emp data. Okay. I create this. Now this will have different values. You can add multiple values here. Click on plus sign, keep on adding. See, property 2, 3, anyway, any number of properties you want to set, you can set it here. All right. Now this process property 1, it will have some data types. So always remember these are the data types that Boomi provide: Boolean, date, hidden number, string. So better to keep them on the string because you can have different values here. Now label. Label is something that you give the name to your property. Meaning suppose here I want to give a label of file name. Okay. Now help text. This help text is something that is uh, that you either you want to put it or not, that is for your help. Meaning this help text is basically the description of your process property. Meaning I can put it as this contains the file name. Okay. Now you have default values. So if you want it to be, say anything, I want it to be aniket.csv, I can maintain it here. Now why we go for process properties in the first place when we can do this via document property in the set property shape and set it. Now what happens is basically in ideal scenario there are 3 instances. Okay. Now these 3 instances are like development, test, and production. Production, you have different file name. In test, suppose you want to give it as Aniket test. Okay. In development, you want to give it as Aniket dev. Okay. For every instance, you can set this file name at the atom level. All right. So that is why we go for process property, because my dynamic document property or document property will be at my process level. So every time, suppose I have to run my process into development, every time I have to come in here, I have to change that proper file name every time and deploy it and then run it. Instead of doing that, what we do is we take a process property of file name and we leave it. We leave the default value and leave it as is. Okay. So that's one use of process property. So these process properties can be anything. Suppose file name is here. You want to put another as remote directory. Okay. So remote directory is nothing but your directory of the file where it resides. So for example, I have a, suppose I have this file here. Okay. And what is my directory here is, if you see this location you're seeing, right? C user HP desktop. This is my directory. Okay. So I can put this value here again. This can be, so when in ideal scenario, what happens is client has an SFTP. SFTP is a web services file storage system, web client kind of thing, where it stores all the files for the client for the whatever they want to do with it. So the kind of what to say, the kind of path you have seen here, right? C users, HP desktop. Similar, they have a folder path which says something like this. Suppose I have, they created a folder of outgoing, then they put it under a folder Aniket test. Okay, then they put it under a, again under Aniket test they have a folder of emp data, and then under emp data they put it again a folder of data. Okay, so that becomes my remote directory. So it is basically representing a path for them to send a file. So that's why I put it as remote directory. So wherever I have to send my data, for example, if you'll see here, right, it says file name along with this, and in this connector I don't need to define my path because it is already here, right? But in case of SFTP we need to provide that remote directory as well. So I'll tell you how to set that process property in here. All right, so suppose for example I'm putting it as this, my file name, I put it as this for the time being. Now remote directory I've set. Another thing that I can set is, suppose I have to send an email. Okay, so I put it as to address. Okay. Now this again, if I have to send in an email to somebody, I can use a process property. So what is happening here is, within one process property I have different properties that I can set for, like file name, remote directory, true address. Similarly I can have from address in here, I can have different like these. Okay, so that's what process property do. It collects a bunch of properties that can be used throughout a process for at different levels. Okay, so if I save and close this, now I'll tell you how I have to set the values here. So suppose here my disk file name, it says static value of employee data. Instead of going here, I click on this, it will have these different values. Okay, now what we have done, we have set a process property. I click on process property, it will ask me what process property you want to choose. I click on this. So I have created what, emp data process property. I click on this, then it will ask what process property name you want to use. So this name that you're seeing here, file name, these are nothing but your labels that you have put. Okay, so if you're setting file name, choose file name. If you're setting remote directory, you can choose that as well. So I click on file name, I click on OK. Okay, so what happened, my disk file name is set to whatever value I have given to process property file name from emp data process property. All right, so I click on OK and I run this process. Now see here, if I check the logs, what did it give me? See, well, employee data.xml, right? That's what we were expecting. My parameter one is what? File name. What I have set it? Employee data.xml. You got my point?
Yeah, Ankit.
Okay. Any questions in process property?
No. What is the difference
Oh,
between dynamic document property and dynamic process property, Ankit?
okay. I'll tell you that. So basically, see, dynamic process property is something that is one-time setup. Say a dynamic process property, it stores basically one value. Okay, because that's again a process property that is for a process hold up. Okay, so for example I want to set a date. All right, so if I take 1 second. If I take a set property shape, okay, and what I want to do is, suppose I have a process that is running 9 a.m. IST every day, okay, and when my process ran today at 9 a.m., it ran successfully. Now what I want on 11th, sorry, what I want on 21st is that my process should take data only whatever I have added after 9 a.m. You got my point, what I'm saying?
Okay.
So in that case, I click on plus sign, I add a dynamic process property, I give it a name, any name. Suppose I give it as LSRD. Okay, where LSRD basically in layman terms is last successful run date. Okay, but you can put this name any kind of name, but again, remember this is a case sensitive value. Wherever you want to use this, you have to remember this name as is. Okay, so I click on OK. Then again, what parameter I can give here is, since I want to set dates, again, I click on plus sign. I go to date time. Okay, now date time has different masks. What these masks are? Basically the format of your date. So ideally what Bhumi recommended format is this one. Okay, last one. So suppose I put it like this, and for now, since we don't have any last successful run date, let's put it as current date. Okay, I click on OK, and I run this process. So what will happen is my process property will be set to current date. Now this current date once set can be used anywhere in the process. I'll show you how it can be used. Okay, let's see, I go here, it set my value to this point, right? This is my current date, correct?
Okay.
Okay, now in dynamic process property, I go to map and say I want to retrieve my dynamic process property here, and I want to map it into column 6. Okay, so I click on plus sign, I go for properties. So at that place we have set the dynamic process property. In here what we have to do is we have to get the dynamic process property. So I click on get dynamic process property, I click on OK, I give the name as LSRD. Okay, now in here what we have to do is we map this result to column 6. Save it. Now see, you're seeing column 6 here. This is the date that we set in the dynamic process property. All right, so that is a dynamic process property. Now coming to dynamic document property. Now dynamic document property is something that you want to set based on your document. All right, so I mean you can use DDP for date setting as well, but the problem with DDP is that it, in whatever branch you have set, for example this is my branch here, okay, and I set my DDP on the first branch, I cannot retrieve that value on the second one. Okay, that value is only valid for one branch. You got my point?
Suppose we are using branch 2, you can use dynamic property.
Your voice is breaking. Hello, hello.
I am using a dynamic document property in branch 2.
Okay. Then
Then the value
see,
goes
if
to
you are using,
first branch.
no. So if you are setting it in branch 2 itself, okay, first branch is executed first. Branch 2 will be executed later on. So you cannot retrieve it. And if even if you set dynamic process property, you cannot retrieve it on branch 1 if you are setting it into branch 2. Okay. With branch, what I told yesterday is your first path will always be executed first. So if you are setting either a DPP that you have to retrieve into branch 2, you have to set it on branch first itself. Okay. Now there is a catch. What I told here is that dynamic document property, if you are setting it into branch 1, you cannot retrieve it into branch 2. But if you have to retrieve it in both these branches, all right, you have to set it here. You got my point what I'm saying? And what is the difference between setting here and setting here?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So dynamic document property, if you're setting and you want to use it in all paths of your branch, all right, set it before the branch. But in that case as well, it will only work for that particular branch. It won't, and if you use another branch again, it won't be retrieved from that branch. So this is the difference between dynamic process and dynamic document property. Any questions still here?
No, Ankit.
Ankit, I mean, in dynamic process property, you can use anywhere in the process. Am I right?
Yes, that's right.
But in process property is not like that.
No, process properties is also you can use anywhere. That's fine. Let's see. I can use process property here as file name, right? I can use same process property here as well for file name.
But if
Okay,
I
so
use process property in branch 2, it can be set for branch 1 and in any, you can use anywhere.
see, process property is not dependent. All right. Process property is a property that you have created for different values. Okay. So based on those values, like file name, you don't have to set everywhere, right? Even if you take this example, right? If you are not giving different file names here, okay, if you are giving different file names here, you can use same process property with different, say I have, one second, I'll tell you what I'm saying. Suppose I have this process property, okay, and I have these two paths. One says file name employee data dot xml, okay, another says file name that has static value. What I do is I add file name 2 here, okay, and I say that I want this value to be at file name 2. Save and close this, and instead of this I put a process property. So see here, now you're seeing file name 2. I click on file name 2, okay. If I show you here what is my parameter value, you'll see employee data.csv, okay. So you can use process property anywhere in the process, or see anything that you are using here that you are setting. Like document property is something that you have to set within the process, okay, but process property you can set outside the process and call it here in the process anywhere. You got my point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, got it.
Okay,
Okay.
Ankit.
Okay, now, so this was all about process property, dynamic process property, dynamic document property. Now what we had to cover today, we yesterday we covered branch shape and stop shape. what we have to cover today is route shape. Now, route shape is something that compares your values and gives you a path. For example, I have this branch shape here, right? Instead of this branch shape, I use a route shape. So route shape will basically check for some conditions. Okay. Now, how to set this up? You have to choose what element you want to route it by. So suppose I have a profile element. Okay. You can use anything like document property, dynamic process property, anything. But say I have a profile element here. I click on this, I click on flat file and this one. So based on my first name, I want to give my profile name as employee data.xml. Based on my, so column 1 is my first name. Okay. One second, I have to check that. Column 2 is my first name. Okay. Column 2. So I choose this. Now what it will, if I click on plus, it will see what type of comparison you want to do, either equal to, not equal to, greater than. So all these comparisons are there. So say for equal to, I put it as Varun. I have put it as Varun, I'll tell you. Okay. Now if it is equal to Varun, so you see here the first path, it says equal to Varun, right? If it is equal to Varun, I want to go here. Otherwise, I want to go here. Okay. Now why I have put it as Varun? Because in my message shape, I have two documents. One that says first name is Varun, another that says first name is Charan. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm splitting this document, but the split won't work here because it's not a full-fledged, like it's a data, like, right? It's current data. And so when it is splitting it, it's just splitting it into one. Okay. Ideally, when you split a document, it goes into two type of documents, but it's splitting it into one, then my mapping. Okay. So if I run this, see, it went to default because it did not find anything in column 2 as Varun. So if I go to route shape, see, what did it get? Parameter 1 value is G. Okay. Now why did it? So in that case, what I've put it as G equals to Varun. It's not, so it went to default path. Okay. Now suppose I put my first name to column 1. I configure my route shape to column 1. I click on OK. I run this. It's opening. Okay. Now see this. What I have given is capital V. What I have in data is small v. So what happened? It went to again default path or false path. It is not equal to Varun. Now I go in here and I put it as Varun. See, now it found out that my column 1 is coming at Varun. It went to my first path. Okay. So route shape is basically giving a path to your documents based on a value. Okay, so I can have again multiple validations here. Suppose first I gave it to as Varun, second I gave it as Aniket or anything. Okay, so the more value I add, the more path it will start giving me. Like 1 equal to Varun, second equal to Aniket, and default for path will always be there. So even if you add 10 uh, values here or 10 comparisons here, this default path will always be there for your final. If it did not find anything out of these two, what it should do. So any confusion in route shape, what it is doing and how it is set up?
Hello, Ankit.
Yep.
Route shape is similar to decision shape, but we can use a multiple comparison there in route shape. Yeah, there.
I won't say that it is equal to decision shape. Okay. Why I'm saying that is decision shape has only one value, first of all. Okay.
Decision shape is
Either true,
only comparison only true value.
yeah, like if A is equal to B or not, if A not equal to B, like that. Okay. Or true false values. It compares like that. Okay. In a route shape, we have different values, that is fine. But what route shape actually does is based on these values, okay, it defines a path for your document. You getting my point? So what I
Okay.
said in the route shape, that okay, my document has come here. Now if my first name is equal to Varun, I want my profile type to be employee data.xml. Okay. Now if my first name is equal to Aniket, I want my file name to be employee data.csv. Getting my point? What is the difference there? Based on a value, it is defining the path how you want to process it. Hello. And
Okay.
like if you have not understood it, I can, should I rephrase it or it is good?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Then okay, let me remove this one. Now what next to have is cleanse shape. Now this cleanse shape is nothing but it validates the data based on your profile. So what it does is, if I put it here, suppose I put a cleanse shape here, what it will do is it will ask what kind of profile you have. I have a flat file coming to it, and I have this flat file. All right. So my all elements, if you'll see here, they are into gray. Okay. Now I go in here, I go to my flat file. All right. And what I do is on column 1, I make it as mandatory. Okay. Once I make it mandatory, what will happen is, if whatever happens with your document is fine, but your column 1 should always be present. Okay. So I save and close this, and then I go to cleanse shape again. Now if you'll see here, column 1 has come into red. If it does not find column 1 into record, okay, it will reject those document. Meaning, I suppose I, for now I connect it, and now you're seeing here one as clean. So whatever document that contains that mandatory field is considered as clean document. Otherwise it will be rejected. So suppose clean, I connect here. Now test it. See, it found that okay, I have a column 1 value, I the document is clean, it will process it like that. Okay. Now if I go in here and I remove my mapping from column 1, what it says is mandatory element missing, right? So what it does is basically it does not find anything on the column 1 value that particular mandatory value was missing. It failed the process. All right. Now, so basically what cleanse shape does is it validates your data based on your mandatory fields. Okay. So you can put any one of these fields as mandatory and you can check this. So let me connect it. Now for today's exercise, what you have to do is one, create process property with file name and user set file name, set property shape. What you have to do is create DPP. DPP is your dynamic process property. Okay, with and date and shape for your now coming here. So we have seen branch shape, route shape, cleanse shape. Now coming to decision shape. Okay. Now decision shape again checks against some values. For example, it will ask you what first value I want to compare. So again, suppose I want to compare my first value from profile element column 1. Okay. Now second value, again, either you can have a profile element or things or a process property, anything. Okay, or a static value. So for example, I want to compare it with Varun again. Click on OK. Now what kind of comparison you want? Either you want equal to, not equal to, you can choose those here. Now I want it equal to. Okay, so I click on OK, and again true path I connect it here, false I connect it here. See what happened. It found a value for column 1 as Varun. Okay, you see here the value Varun equals to Varun coming as true. Okay, now suppose that's why it went to true path. Now suppose I have compared it with a null value. So for null values, you don't have to do anything. You just click on OK. It will take it as null. Click on test. See, it did not find it as null value, so it went to false path. All right. So that's how decision shape works actually. It compares two values based on your inputs, whatever input you're providing. So again, it can be like, if I suppose I want to check it against null values, that my first element should not be null. If it is null, send it to false path. If it is not null, send it to true path. Okay, so in that case, I go here and I go to not equal to. Okay, so in that case, if my column 1 is not equal to null, it should go to my true path. See, since it got a value of Varun in there, it went to true path. So that's how my decision shape is configured and compares two values. Any questions till decision shape?
No, Ankit.
Okay, fine. Now next for us is exception shape. Okay, so exception shape I will tell you when I'll be telling try catch. In the meantime, let's go to return document shape. Okay, now return document shape is used when we have to use the document coming out from this process into another process. For example, I have this process here. Okay, and I use a return document shape. I go in here, I created a process, suppose test. Okay, now see what I'm doing here is I have added one return document shape to my process. Now, in this process, what I did, I added one return document shape. Right? Let's name it as XML data. Save and close this. Now I have this process. What I want to do is I want to call my sub process here, and so I take a process called shape. I choose my process temp data here. All right. I click on OK. So you see, uh, a return document shape is giving me an XML data path here, so that I can process my documents accordingly. So now I can send it to disconnector where I need it to. I can combine the document. I can do anything that I want to. I can further map it or whatever I want to do with this data. Now, if I don't use return document shape, I use just top shape, it will see that path is gone now, right? Because it is not, my sub process is not returning anything. It is just processing and stopping at a point. But if I want to return something from this process to here, I have to use return document shape. You got my point? What, like for what purpose we are using return document? Hello.
Yes, Ankit.
Okay. Then use what I mean by this fifth point is you have to use a return document shape within this process. Okay. Now you have to find out where you want to use your return document shape, but I want this mapping to happen at this place. Okay. I don't want this mapping to happen in here. I want this mapping to happen in my main process instead of my sub process. Okay. So you guys just try to do that. If you have any confusion, we'll take that tomorrow. And for today, I think we should stop here. And I believe like from 2 days, 3 days, what I've been saying is, let me stop the recording. 1 second.